Hi everybody, I'm Victoria Simmons with the Georgia Post Review. This week's edition features Miss Patti Temple of the Roberta Crawford County Chamber of Commerce, and she's going to talk to us about Jug Fest. My co-host today is Christy Watkins. Welcome, Patti. We're glad you're here today.
Oh, thanks.
So,
I'm really glad to be here.
We just had Jug Fest this past weekend, and I was there, and I know it was a success because there was a lot of people, but tell us all about it.
Well, first off, nobody ever gets anything done all by themselves. It is a co-sponsored event by our Crawford County Historical Society and the Chamber of Commerce, and everybody works extremely hard throughout the entire year, providing this signature for Crawford County. It was well advertised, and we had a lot of really good weather. Just in the morning, it just kind of spit and sprinkled a little bit, but not very much and not very long. This year we added demonstrators instead of the bands that we usually have, and one of the demonstrators was the blacksmith, and M&W Heating and Air sponsored them, and that was fantastic. He gave many shows and gave a very good impression of what it was like in the 1800s. He was dressed in the 1800 period clothing. He and his wife were very, very nice, and then we had our own Renee Schmitz behind the potter's wheel, and she did an absolutely wonderful job, and she's a high schooler. And then we had the gardeners out there from the extension office, and they showed what you could prune, how you could prune, what you could plant, why you plant, where you plant, where you plant. So, and they made it really fun. And I learned that I didn't do some pruning the right way on just a glance through. And then you had beside them the Korean Academy. And they had an absolutely wonderful crowd-drawing demonstration with all of their students and with all of their people that had intended to come, and parents as well as people just wanting to see what they could do. A special huge round of applause for one of the elder students of his. The way she just chopped that piece of wood right in half. There was a big hurrah. And then we had Spirit's Quest, where she explained the use of the equine in counseling or providing some sort of psychotherapy. They intended for me to stay there and get some psychotherapy, but I was unable to do so. So I was having too much fun on the field talking to everybody that was coming in. As I said, the weather was very good. We had a fair amount of vendors and lots of really good food, and the food trucks are coming back again next year for us. We are looking forward to next year. Sadly, Kent Winslet can no longer do the lawnmower races, but not to worry, he's already got a replacement, and so the races will go on. I can't imagine having to try and pull this all off on with one person in the behind. Elaine Westbury was our chairman. She did an excellent job of chairing us all and cheering us all and keeping us all together, and as well as Russell and Nancy and Kathleen and Larry and Clint and Kent. I'll get his name out. Kent and the McCollum, Carter, and Allen family all added their special things into the car show, and I don't want to forget Russell or John and Sandy, and so many other people that are in there. I hope I've not missed any in the Historical Society, because they really worked very, very hard.
Well, how did it go with the 5K?
The 5K Larry has that, and there was I think he said he was planning on maybe 215 who were totaled at the run. So that was pretty good, and that goes to the preservation of the Historical Society's one of their buildings, and that's the old courthouse. So that's something to really look forward to, and all of the Historical Society events go toward the preservation of history or their buildings. So that's something that is very, very important to this community and gives you a signature for the community.
A lot of work goes in behind the scenes that people don't know. When do you actually start on the next Jug Fest?
We will not start on the next Jug Fest. We'll kind of have a roundup and figure out what we did wrong or why we did wrong or if anybody's going to come back. And then that way, that'll probably be in June or maybe July. And then we'll take off and go with that. The advertising starts in probably November, sometimes October for this in some of the printed material. And then we begin full force in all the advertising dollars and changing things over from different, for Georgia on My Mind and different areas like that that's actually free advertising that's out there. So you've got someplace to go and you know where you're supposed to go to support your state in the many things that are out there. So, and this is one of them, and it is a signature for Crawford County, just like the Strawberry Festival is for Reynolds and the Cherry Blossom Festival, and all of those little festivals give that particular community a signature. So that's why we want to keep it.
And we had one of our local potters at the first event, which was the lunch and, well, not the first event, but on Friday, which was the Lunch and Learn, and Shelby West.
Mm-hmm. Shelby West is and has been part of it for many years. In fact, all of the years that it's been Georgia Jug Festival, but also he was the very first potter to to have something in what was pre-Georgia Jug Festival, which was the Little Brown Jug Festival. He was the only potter that was there for 2 years in a row, and that began having the pottery there. So, and the Merritts carried that on throughout some years. So,
and he some years has donated the little jugs for the road race too, right?
Yes.
The
yes.
trophies. Who
Mm-hmm.
who did that this year?
I believe that was, I know for sure. I'm not. This isn't. I believe it was Stephen Johnson, and he did a fantastic job, an absolutely wonderful job on several pieces. It was. The students also added their little bit of stuff into the pottery realm and had their own show as well. So the birdhouse contest is always a hit, and that's part of the West Family Memorial Birdhouse Contest. And those students gave such an absolutely wonderful art show, and the induction into the Hall of Fame was Cyrus Cogburn, which I always want to call him Rooster. But
I think everybody does.
I think everybody does, so I have to be real careful when I say it. But he was a potter this year, and it was highlighted by something that Nancy Jones has done ever since I've known her and been involved with since I've been back with the chamber, and that is the poster that goes out. So all of those creations are hers.
Yeah, and the student birdhouse competition this year, the first place winner actually depicted the old Georgia Post buildings, and
Right.
I thought that was real neat.
That is true. That is true.
It was very good. So.
And it was Papa's Peach Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to divulge who the father is yet because it won't be approved until this week, this Thursday at our meeting. So.
But I'll let you know in the paper next week.
Yeah.
Yes, she will. Because she has to be there.
I do.
She enjoys being there. You never know what happens at a board meeting.
No.
Yeah, you do. But there will be the Papa's Peach Classic has been designed and was suggested It is a fundraiser, however, it is also to honor all of our fathers in Crawford County and to celebrate Father's Day. So the fathers can come up there and they can watch their children run, walk, or cry while they're running and walking to get some free ice cream from Dickey Farms. And they can have a choice this year because they had a fabulous strawberry ice cream and then now they have the peach ice cream. So you'll probably get to taste both. They worked very hard to give us a venue. The track is ready to go because it's all on pavement, so no worries with that. And you know exactly where you're going to go, turn around and come back. Larry Carpenter works on this for some time throughout the year, and while he's working on one, which is the Jug Festival one, then he's also working on the Papa's Peach Classic. The Papa's Peach Classic is also PayPal if you want, and on the Macon Tracks schedule. And it does earn points, so we have built it up already to that point where it actually gives Macon Track runners those points that they really like to have.
And later on, you'll have the back-to-school breakfast.
Oh, yes. And then, yeah, that seems just too quick.
I know.
Everything
Just
comes.
a couple months away.
There is July in there. Sadly, we will not have a repeat of the Taste of Crawford, but there might be something else come up in July. I'm sure there's always something going to come up. But we do want everybody to, on this weekend, to please join us in celebrating the Memorial Day for all of those who have given their lives in protecting our country for generations upon generations.
Yeah, and also this weekend, Dickey Farms is having their
Peach Fest.
Yes, their Peach Fest, and you can't miss that. It is absolutely fantastic, and we're all looking forward to it. I get to go to this festival and do nothing. I get to just sit there and eat ice cream if I want to.
And it's from 10 to 4 on Saturday
Yes,
at the out at Dickey Farms.
and it's going to be a great time. They all work really hard up there, and you've got to see the pink building. That's the Strawberry Building. And it's a really pretty little place.
And they still have strawberries that you can pick as well if you want to
Yes.
pick.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
as
Still
well.
got a good crop this year.
Yeah, but you especially want to try the strawberry or peach ice cream.
Yes.
It's really good.
And they work really very hard, and it's kind of a happy place to be, especially this time of year. So when it's all boarded up, it's still happy, but now it's really happy, and it's really tasty up there too. So you'll get your mouth will start watering as soon as you see the shed.
Yeah.
And which
Yeah.
am I going to have?
So what else after that? What else after the?
Well, like you mentioned, it's always fun to have the kids out on vacation, and we've got graduation upcoming actually this Friday, and we don't know exactly where it's going to be. If it goes inside, I heard that it's supposed to be on Saturday,
It
so
depends on the weather. Yeah.
it kind of depends on the weather, whether it's be Friday or whether it be Saturday. These seniors have worked extremely hard. We've had the youth leadership team behind them. Youth leadership is upcoming again for 2018-2019, which is hard to believe. The 2017-18 bunch are about ready to become seniors, all of them. And then we've got the seniors who are working with me, Richard and James, who are going to be moving on. So it'll be exciting to see them graduate, but then as soon as they graduate, I guess they're going to reserve training, and they're going into the Army Reserves, and then they're going to college. So that's fantastic. There's a lot going on in the schools, even during the summer times when there are no students there. Those teachers are still kind of working and improvising and trying to figure out, okay, I'm going to do this year, I'm going to do that year. And then they go up and have some peach ice cream, and they come back and they keep working at their house and trying to figure out what they're supposed to do. But there's a skeleton crew of all of the principals and the superintendent and all the secretaries up there. So their school never really ends for them. They get to go on vacation now. So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
I'd like to get 1 week or 2 weeks maybe. But then they go on back to school. And the back to school breakfast is something I kind of look forward to, because I've always found that when kids are in school, there's more life, it seems like, to the community, and it's the students are doing this, the students are doing that. There's ball games to go to, there's football, basketball, baseball, there's cheerleading, there's all kinds of things going on with these kids. And it gives you that time to really be involved with the students and have fun with them. And then when the teachers come back to school too, it's another year, another lot of events. We've got REACH scholarships out there now, so that for all of our businesses and people who would like to be involved in some child getting a college education, there is an opportunity to provide funding for them by donating those dollars. So,
Do you have a date for the back to school?
it's going to be probably the very last day of July, or possibly the very first days of August. We're not real sure yet. That is upcoming, but if you're interested in sponsor, everything's got to have sponsors, so
Yeah.
you can't pull any
So
electors
sign up,
in.
right?
Yeah, there you go. You can't have anything without having sponsors, and that includes your sponsorship for Papa's Peach Classic, and it's only $100. You can get your name on the shirt, and they walk around with those shirts all the time, so it gives your company some value. On the back-to-school breakfast, you add your money in there, and it will be very, very much appreciated, so that we can give them a great beginning of the school year.
Well, Patty, I know you're going to get to a meeting, so we appreciate you being here today, and we look forward to all these upcoming events, and we appreciate all that the Chamber and everybody else does in the community. It takes the whole community
It
to
does,
pull
it
things
does.
off. So we thank you for being here today.
Well, I thank you for having me.
We really appreciate Patty being here today, but she had to rush off to a meeting. And Patty mentioned the graduation, and rain is in the forecast, and it's supposed to be.
If it's not raining, it will continue to be out on the football field at the high school. If it is raining, it will be in the gym here behind the Board of Education office.
And that starts at 7 o'clock regardless, football field or
Right.
gym, right? So, in case you needed that information about graduation, it's this Friday at 7. So, depends on the rain, whether location it is. So, what's going on else in Crawford County? I know this weekend the paper will have pictures from Jug Fest, as well as Marion Miller works with the Crawford County, and he was honored for 40 years of service to the county last week, which is an accomplishment. You know, he's been at the same place for 40 years. I've been in the same business for 40 years, but not at the same place. So that's quite an accomplishment. Congratulations to Marion, and his whole family was there for him to receive his plaque, so that was kind of neat too. So what else is going on in the county? I know 4-H has got stuff going on.
The 4-H kickoff is June 2nd from 11 to 2, I believe. It might have been 11 to 4. And that's going to kick off the good 4-H summer celebration with the things that they're going to be coming up this summer. Let's see, what else?
Well, Recreation Ball is winding down, but they are going into.
All-Star games. So
When does those start?
I'm not exactly sure when everybody starts. I know our tournament for the girls, 10U, that is going to be the weekend of June 22nd and 23rd.
Okay, so not until June, but they'll be practicing
Yes,
during this time?
yeah.
And this weekend, as we said, is Memorial Day, and we get sometimes Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and all that mixed up. Memorial Day actually remembers those people who died, who gave their whole life. They gave it all for our country and died in wars and stuff. So while you're having your long weekend, if you get to have a long weekend, or if you have a celebration, please do take a moment to pause and reflect upon what our freedom here means, and exactly what Memorial Day means.
And the ones that sacrifice
Yeah,
their lives for us.
One to sacrifice it all, I mean, everything, and their families, because they also, you know, make a big sacrifice when their loved ones go off to war, and especially when they don't come back home. So just remember that for your Memorial Day celebrations this weekend. Also, some of you will see this after the fact, I'm sure, but tomorrow is Election Day, May 22nd, and it's really important because one vote can make a difference. I know we voted early because we voted the same day. But if you see this tomorrow, you have until 7 o'clock to vote tomorrow. So not only are they voting on the governor and lieutenant governor and secretary of state in Georgia, they're also voting on public service commission seats. And locally here we have 2 commissioners running. One will actually be decided tomorrow, and that's between Paul Chapman, which is District 5, and Pat Kelly. The other one, and they're both running as Republicans, that's why it will be settled tomorrow. The other one has a Democrat and a Republican, and that's Bobby Blassingame and Frank Holmes. You could vote on that tomorrow, but it really won't be settled until November. And they'll be on the November election. But we're also voting on T-Splost and E-Splost, and there's been some negative feedback, especially on the social media Crawford County discussion page, about negativity about both of those. But to me, sales tax are the best way to pay for things. I don't want my property taxes to increase, so everybody helps to pay for the sales tax that comes into our county. And the E-Splost is just a continuation.
Right, it's a continuation. And it's actually going towards a new middle and high school is what they have that designated as. The high school is in need of a repair. They just made $1 million worth of repairs a couple of years ago, and it's just, you know, the upkeep on it is just really expensive that, you know, they're having to take out of their budget every year that should be for these children, and you know, give them better technology and other things like that. But this way, the school system would have a new gym, a new school, get the Eagles Nest pre-K and kindergartners over to what is now the elementary school, which would become a primary school, and then, you know, just relocate the middle schoolers over to the high school, and some of the elementary school that's going to be over at the middle school. I don't live in Crawford County. I do spend my taxes here. I buy items, I pay taxes, and I do not mind paying an extra, you know, cent on the dollar. I think it's going towards a good cause.
And the state gives them more money for building new schools
Exactly.
instead of renovating old schools, so it just makes sense to build a new school. But you have a middle schooler, right?
Well, she will be going into middle school.
So there's been a lot of controversy from some parents about not wanting their middle schooler at the high school. How do you personally, since you're going to have that age student, how do you feel? I don't have any more students in the school system, thank the good Lord.
Well, after listening to Brent Lowe, superintendent, explain how they're actually going to be separated. The only common areas are going to be the media center and the cafeteria. But even the cafeteria is not really going to be a common area because the high schoolers and middle schoolers will be separated by a retractable wall. I would not have a problem with my child going to the school. They even talked about in last week's meeting, that there would be surveillance cameras in this new school. High-tech surveillance cameras, in which they would like to see in all the other schools as well. After listening to Mr. Lowe explain everything that they are planning, if I lived in Crawford County, I would not mind my child being at the same location as high schoolers.
Well, I mean, they ride the same school bus. They live in the same house together if you have children that age. So,
Right.
you know, I don't see it as a problem either. And if I do have grandchildren, and they're not in middle school yet, but in this school system, but I wouldn't have a problem with it because I understand what they're trying to do, and I see the need for a new high school here.
Well, they have their security measures intact, and, you know, once this new school comes around, they're going to have the same security measures of keeping these students safe.
Right. So, also, the T-Splosh, it is a new tax, and there's also been negativity about that going around or whatever. And not only does Crawford County get to vote on it, but Peach County does as well as other counties in the district that didn't pass it in 2012. And at first, I got to tell you, I was not for it until I kept studying, doing research, and learning more about it, and I did vote for it. And I think that it is a good thing if what comes about, if they stick to what they say. And the law requires them to stick to what they say is going to happen. So I felt better about that, and it's going to be a boon for Crawford County. I mean, like $8 million in 10 years.
Yeah.
The commissioners deal with road problems all the time. That's one of their major issues. In fact, I think Paul Chapman said it takes up 99% of their time. So one comment on the social media page was that we don't have the transportation tax, and the roads are already getting paved. Well, not all roads, and people come to the commission all the time and complain about their road because they do not have enough money. And if they get this money from the state, when they get this money from the state, I should say, it will help resolve some of those issues they have with roads, and they'll be able to use some of the money that they're using now on roads for some other things in the county. Because not only is this money, T-Splosh money for road improvements, you can also use it on anything that deals with transportation, which includes equipment. And you know, everybody's always needing equipment too, because our equipment needs upgrades all the time. And this would just help alleviate some of that problem for the county and some of the headache that commissioners have to deal with, I think. And you would see more road improvements in the county.
Well, and in the long run, if you're looking towards the future, the improvements that they're planning on doing is going to be beneficial for Crawford County, whether it's coming from the Peach County side or Highway 80 that they're three-laning, you know, giving turning lanes. It's all for the future. It's going to bring more economic growth.
And one of my things was, it's for 10 years, and they have to get all those projects done in that 10 years.
Right.
And yes, they will probably ask for another T-Splosh, but if you'll watch these 10 years of what they've done and see what they've done and see if it's really beneficial, I say at least give it a chance, you know, to see.
Right.
And then if you're not happy with what's done, then reconsider it when they put it up for a vote next time.
But the state's planning on giving more money than what Crawford County or the Middle Georgia would actually be putting in. So they're actually going to be, what is it, 2 times the amount that, you know, that's brought in. So again, you're getting more benefits from the state money, which we don't get now in any of these 11 counties in this regional T-Splosh, to be able to resurface the roads.
So to me, T-Splosh is a win-win, and I know some people would argue that point with me because nobody likes new taxes.
But for the person that was totally against it to begin with.
Yes, I changed my mind because I did my research. So hopefully, if you'll do your research, you'll change your mind as well too. So, like I said, you'll probably see this after the fact, and we really probably won't know the total tomorrow because it's going to be all totaled.
Right.
Elsewhere in the district in one location. All the votes will go to that one location from the other.
But we will have the commissioner's race. We'll have that total tomorrow.
Yes, we will. Well, that wraps up our week's edition of the Georgia Post Review. We hope that if you don't have a subscription that you will subscribe. We think it's a good value for the money. And you can always come by our office and and talk to us anytime. We have an open door policy. Thank you for watching, and thanks, Christy.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week on the Georgia Post Review.